What's up, Compete Training Academy family? Welcome to the Compete Mentality Podcast. The mission of the Compete Mentality Podcast is to motivate, educate, and inspire others to compete. No matter what area of life you are in, we are all called to compete. Our definition of competing is doing what God is calling you to do, even when it's hard. This episode of the Compete Mentality Podcast is sponsored by the Lewis Jackson and Jordan Delks Basketball School. Be looking for details coming in April on our social media avenues. It is now my pleasure to introduce former Boiler legend and current professional basketball player, my guy, Chris Kramer. And this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very special podcast for me. I just got done chopping it up a little bit with Chris and told him he was a huge inspiration in my life and has inspired me to be a better player, better person, just by the simple way he played the game. So, Chris, thanks for joining us today, bro.
Oh, man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. And as we start the podcast a lot by saying Courtney and I, even though we're trainers, man, like we love keeping players accountable on the court, off the court, not just, on the court, but, your nutrition, the way you take care of yourself off to the court, but we are big time foodies, bro. So I know you're overseas right now. Give us your go-to restaurant right now and describe what you would order right
now. So my go-to restaurant overseas, like in Jerusalem?
Yes, sir.
So, it's a little bit different right now. I mean, things are starting to open back up. Israel is, I think, leading the world in like COVID vaccinations. Like, I don't know, at least half the population is fully vaccinated right now. So everything's starting to open back up. And
Sure.
So when we go to Tel Aviv, there's this Mexican place we go to, get some guacamole, get a quesadilla or a burrito. My wife will get like a bowl. That's one of the spots we go to. But then there's this place we found in Jerusalem. It's called Crave that has like just a really bomb burger. And they have like a nice French fry that has Cajun seasoning on it, like you're at Five Guys.
Yep.
Those are our kind of go-tos. Those are our go-tos right now. We haven't really went out and explored a lot of the restaurants. Everything here is crazy expensive.
Got you.
So it's just easy for us to,
Yeah.
It's just easier to cook and stuff like that. And it's obviously better for us anyways.
No doubt.
But, that's where we're at here. At home, it's a different story. If our daughter is involved, our go-to would be like Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
She's all about Chick-fil-A. If it's like a date night, there's a restaurant in Fort Wayne called Proximo that is,
okay.
In my opinion, it's elite. It's cream of the crop.
Okay. So yeah. We're in Marion here, Sweetser, Indiana. We're like an hour south of Fort Wayne, and we check out Fort Wayne all the time. And we haven't been to Proximo. So what you getting at Proximo, bro?
So, Proximo is downtown Fort Wayne. They have this, I think it's called, might not pronounce this right. For appetizer, we get this like shrimp sopa. It's like shrimp with like a sauce. It's got some spices in it. It's got a little heat. It's big time. And then for dinner, for the main course, I'll get like a street corn fillet. So it'll be fillet, street corn on top,
right,
with, whatever the side is. And then they have some really good desserts as well. It's high level. They have some seafood options, some tacos. They have, they have a good variety of stuff, but it's high level in my opinion.
Man, that's big time. I got a Word document out right here, and I'm taking notes. We're going to be checking that out, no doubt. But Chris, man, like I said, you inspired so many people by the way you played, especially for your defense, and have literally made a career off the way you play defense. And I just want to know. So I'm a third generation Boilermaker. My wife played for Purdue. We bleed black and gold, man. And so, like, I know Purdue basketball history, and I just want to hear from your perspective who the top 5 defenders are in Purdue history. And yeah, I just want to hear from your perspective.
See, this I think is where we'll be different. I wasn't a diehard Purdue fan.
Sure.
So the only one that, I would do a disservice to everybody, I guess prior to Kenny Lowe.
Okay.
After, like, before that, I have nothing. I honestly, you can go Konzo Martin, I would throw that in there.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, my history just isn't there.
Sure. Sure.
So going back to that, so I would take Zoe,
Yep.
Kenny Lowe, myself.
You better add yourself in there.
I would take Rayfield Davis,
Mm-hmm.
and I would take Juwan Johnson. I think Juwan can guard on the perimeter, can protect the rim. I was struggling between him and AJ Hammons. They're both elite shot blockers in my opinion. But I would lean towards Juwan, a little bit more versatile.
No doubt. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those guys. And man, I was just telling Chris before this podcast that I was not a great defender in high school. And when I got to college, I was kind of blown away just with what the college game took to be elite on the defensive end, and how I watched so much film of him and was inspired by him. I even wore the arm sleeve like him, and just tried to embrace the mentality that he had. So Chris, like, give us your background. Like, just tell us how you got to where you are today, bro.
It's been a wild ride, but absolutely amazing. I'm so blessed to be in the position I am today. But to rewind back, it all started, in Huntington, Indiana. I played football, baseball, and basketball all the way through.
Right.
I played 3 sports all the way through. I knew early on in my high school career that I wanted to play basketball at the next level. I was told I was making a mistake. Like, yeah, you're good at basketball, but you need to go play football. You need to go play baseball. You'll make way more money. And I'm like, maybe you're right, but I don't love baseball. I don't love football.
Sure.
I love basketball. Like, it's instilled in me since I was going to my dad's games when I was a younger kid. And, that's kind of where I fell in love with it. And just to, I wanted to keep maintaining, basketball in my life. And so I told, my football coaches, they're getting calls about recruiting. I'm like, shut it down. It's don't make them waste their time. It's not going to happen. Right. There was some major league teams that came and watched me when I was in high school, play baseball. I was like, it's not going to happen. So, I think I committed to Purdue my junior year, I believe. Purdue was struggling. But I fully trusted Coach Painter. He was a straight shooter. It's like, this is what I need. And so I went to Purdue. I was a good high school player. I wasn't a great high school player. I didn't do anything well. I did a lot of stuff good. I could play defense. I ran through passing lanes. I was athletic, whatever. But like, I wasn't, a great shooter. I wasn't a great, anything. So I remember, I actually just heard Keaton Grant on Raphael Davis's podcast, and he was talking about like our first workout in the summertime, and we're talking about like medicine ball, like out, above your head, defensive slides, full court. I'm like, this is different, like,
yeah,
like, and we're just getting put through the ringer, and thing that was like a humbling experience is like, you think you work hard, and then that first day I was like, man, I have no idea what I got myself into.
right.
It's like, you have to change your mentality, and you have to change your mentality quick, because this is going to be tough. You're not going to be able to go through the motions and perform at a level like this is Huntington North High School. You got to start progressing and getting used to this so your body can get used to it. So there was talks when I came in about redshirting, and in my head I was like, no, it's not an option. And that's when Conzo Martin, David T kind of took me under their wings. Like, all right, you're gonna be an elite on-ball defender. You're gonna be an elite defender, and we're gonna help you do it. And so it all started in those workouts. Doing a bunch of defensive drills, guarding David Teague every day in open gym, guarding David Teague every day in practice.
Yes.
Talk
about an underrated Boilermaker, man. David Teague is a real one.
Yeah, and he went through a bunch of adversity.
Yeah.
But he's I would say David Teague's built different. We're running conditioning, and he's running Teague to the league, Teague to the league, Teague to the league. Like, just the motivation that he had, and the confidence he had in himself. No matter what happened, he was not lacking confidence, and he was a big part of my freshman year.
That gives me chills.
Just a huge part, of our freshman year, going to the tournament and kind of breaking that barrier of kind of some of those bad years and pushing us in the right direction. For ultimately what ended up happening. Those next 3 years, when with the baby Boilers and all that success that we had. Now I've been playing, I think this is my 11th year professionally. I've played in the G League my first year.
Yep.
Played in Puerto Rico that summer, 6 years in Germany, 2 in Lithuania, 1 in Russia, and now here in Israel. So it's been wild. I've seen so many amazing places. But like I said, I'm very blessed that this game of basketball has taken me, all over the world.
Man, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing all that, and man, just different points of your story, man. It, like I said, it just giving me chills. I want to dive into like different times of your career, and I want to dive into your professional playing career first. And we say all the time at the barn here at Compete Training Academy to treat the game like a pro. And I just want you to describe for our audience a typical week in the life of a pro, all the way from when you wake up until you put your head on the pillow, how you take care of your body, how you work on your game. Just paint a picture for us, because I'm training a lot of guys right now that are playing, Division I or NAIA or Division II or whatever, and they want to play overseas. They want to continue playing the game. Just paint a picture for us.
I think it all just kind of depends. Like, this year has been way different than basically every other year I had. In Israel, we just practice once a day. Every other team I've been on, we practice twice a day. The morning will be your weights and shooting, and then the evening will be your practice. So for me, right now, I think, our Sophie wakes up at around 7:30, 8 o'clock. You know, may try to keep her in there a little bit, try to get a little bit more sleep depending
Right.
on the day. So, normally up between 8 and 9, just kind of depends. Um, we're actually doing, we started this drinking celery juice in the morning. I know it was a big fad a few years ago. We started it again, and we just love the way it makes us feel.
Yep.
It's really good. I feel like our skin, and it just really does a lot for our body internally.
Sure.
So that's like our first thing in the morning. And then, 30 minutes after that, I'll have some type of breakfast, whatever it may be. And then depending on the day here, um, around 11, if we have more in the morning practice, I'll probably have weights. So I'll go to weights at 11, practice will be at 12. So knock out my weights, go to practice, try to get in there, finish weights before practice starts, get some shots up, make sure, I'm ready to go. We'll practice for hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the day. After practice, get some shots up, you know, try to stretch, ice, foam roll, and, shower up and come home. Um, kind of chill out a little bit, relax, have dinner a little bit later. And then me personally, with all of I've had a couple knee injuries.
Sure.
The game ready is clutch for me. I'll game ready every night. I've invested, I'm not LeBron James, but I've invested money into this stuff to, help my body. I think every college player, every professional player, I think you need to have, a gun, like a hyper ice, a Theragun, something like that, a percussion instrument to, warm your muscles up. You have a sore spot, you can kind of use the gun to, get that spot ready. Definitely a foam roller. I was a Normatec guy before, but I sold it. I The game ready is just way more beneficial for me at this point in my career. And then I think, depending on after the game, normally after every game, I'll get a massage just to kind of get my body going like that. We'll put our daughter to sleep at around 8:15. She'll fall asleep probably around 9. Then, I get some time with my wife.
Yep.
So we'll watch TV, do whatever, we need to do. We might do some stuff for our daughter for her to learn, or, online shop, whatever we're doing. And then, it'll be between 12 and 1 normally when we lay our head down. That's like a typical day. It can obviously change day to day, but I think the biggest things in taking care of your body is, everybody's body is different. You have to know what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have to really listen to your body. Are you hurt? Are you injured? Two very different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what are you doing to help yourself? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you putting the right things into your body nutrition wise? Are you stretching? Are you foam rolling? All of those things that just give you a little bit of an edge.
Yep.
And just help you longevity and just put you in position to keep showing up every single day, ready to go, awaiting for that next opportunity the next opportunity that's going to come.
Absolutely. And a lot of my players who are listening to this, I hope you were taking notes on that, of how to take care of your body, how to treat the game like a pro. And Chris, just thank you for sharing just the ins and out of your day. And it's inspiring to me to hear all the things you do just around the clock to prepare yourself for game day. And Chris, really, I kind of want to talk about just the advice you would give an aspiring overseas or professional player. I'm training a lot of guys right now who are interested in playing overseas and interested in continuing their career after college. Just what's the advice you'd give them?
I think it's never give up, man. It's not easy. This life is not for everyone. Some guys that came over here and, a couple weeks, a month, 2 months go by and they're like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
It is a grind, but if you want to do it, you have to be all in. You have to put in all the time in the summer. You have to, put all of your eggs in one basket and do everything in your power to make that goal, that dream become a reality. And it's not always where you start. You're right. Because let's talk about Eric McCollum, let's say, played at Goshen College.
Yes.
Went to, I think he was in like the second league in Greece, maybe in Israel. Went to a couple other teams. He's playing in Kimki right now. He's been in China, played EuroLeague, made a boatload of money.
Yep.
It's not always where you begin, but you gotta, every year is an opportunity. Every game is an opportunity. You never know who's watching. So you literally have to go out there and give it your all every night. And if you have a bad game, there's a next one. You can't let it, snowball and, have a run of bad games in a row. You gotta, mentally put yourself in a better position, move past it and be ready for the next opportunity. But I think for anybody that wants to play, choosing an agent that really wants the best for you. A lot of people are going to sign you, tell you what you want to hear, just like recruiting in college. You know what I mean? And you might be at the beginning, you could be a small fish in a huge pond. And, it comes down to everybody else is leaving. It's August. And, you're calling your agent like, hey man, like what you got for me? It's like, oh man, I'm trying. And then, they sign, everybody else is gone and you're just sitting at the crib. You gotta make sure that you're getting in the right position with people that really want to help you succeed and put you not just on the team so you can make some money and play, but the right situation. That's the biggest thing, is going to a right situation where you can succeed and you can really show the game that you have so you can take another step in the right direction next year, and just keep moving forward, because once you start moving forward, that money can really start to jump.
For sure. And that's great advice. That's great advice for everybody. And man, no matter where you're at, listener, I just hope you pull from that testimony from Chris that just don't ever give up. I love the mentality Chris has had. And it's so evident in the way he plays, of putting all your eggs in one basket. Like, you just got to sell out. You got to go all in, whatever you're doing. I don't care if it's basketball. I don't care if it's business. I don't care, whatever it is. And I hope if you're listening right now, you're convicted to go all in. You're convicted to put all your eggs in one basket, to sell out for the kingdom, for the sake of Jesus Christ. And that's just inspiring to me, Chris. And Chris, really, you're a Purdue legend. really for
I
your
don't know
tough.
about that, man.
No doubt. You're a Purdue legend for your toughness. Like, there's no doubt about it. You made a living and a career off being tough. And I think that word tough gets thrown around a lot today in basketball, what it means to be tough. And Jay Billis came out with an article quite a few years ago now, of what it really means to be tough. And I recommend that to anybody who's listening to this right now, who wants to learn what it means to be tough in basketball. And I'm just curious, from Chris Kramer, like, when I think of toughness in basketball, like, if that's in the dictionary, like, I just see your picture next to it, you know? And so I'm just curious, like, how would you encourage a player to develop toughness in their game? Like, how do you develop that? How do you work on that? Being 11, 12 years into being professionally playing basketball, how do you develop that?
That's a great question. Um, I think toughness isn't about um, who's the strongest. Um, all of those physical tools. That's not toughness. I think toughness is um, never backing down. I don't care who we're playing. I don't care who I'm guarding. Um, you know, you may have crossed me up, play before, but hey, I'm still here. You got to do it again and
Uh,
again and again. Like, you have the pride that, I'm going to stop you. You're going to score some points, but, I'm going to make this game as hard on you as physically possible. I'm going to hit you. I'm going to bump you. And every single time you turn around, I'm going to be right there. And, I think the toughness comes in on when the ball's on the floor, the first one to be there. Um, you know, always being around the ball, just being like hard nosed. But how do you work on that? I think it's a mentality. It really is.
mm,
You just have to program yourself. You got to take pride on the defensive end. Um, to make the game hard for whoever it is you're guarding. Everybody in your team has to have that right mentality, because the game of basketball is funny.
yeah.
4 people could be doing the right thing. One person couldn't. The ball just somehow finds that person that's doing the wrong thing. You give up a basket, you give up an offensive rebound, whatever it may be. Um, but I think toughness is just a mindset, and I think it comes down to also is, like I said, are you injured or are you hurt?
Hmm.
You can, if you're injured, okay, you need to do something about it. If you're hurt, have a thigh bruise, whatever it may be, you can still get out there. You know what I mean? You got to do everything you can. You're going to go out there and you're going to play through it. And as well as I do, once you get out there, that adrenaline starts going, you start feeling pretty good. And, you got to just mentally just be stronger than your body really is, because really mentally we can do so much more than physically we can do. And so I think everything just comes down to a mindset. And I don't think it doesn't matter how much weight you lift, how fast you are,
Hmm.
none of that. I think ultimately it's just a mindset, in my opinion.
Man, no doubt about it. And really experiencing the Purdue culture inspired me. The play hard culture. That's what Purdue basketball is all about. Just this mindset that Chris is talking about. And when we started our training academy, like that is what I wanted to figure out for us, like what we wanted to inspire people to do, exactly what you're talking about. For us, that's competing. It's the compete mentality, what this podcast is named after. And I just love what you said, that it doesn't matter who lifts the most weights, but it's a mentality that yeah, you may get crossed up once, but next play you're going to be right there. You're going to be right there. And there's so many parallels we can talk about of how that translates to life. I mean, you make one business decision and it falls apart, but you next day you're clocking in and you're right there. You're grinding it out. And that's really what it means to be tough. And I love that you defined it that way. And Chris, I got a couple questions right now I want to transition to that a couple of my boys I was texting with, like, hey man, I'm hopping on and chopping it up with Chris here in a little bit. And they're like, oh man, I got to have a couple questions that you got to ask. So the one's from my brother, Wes. And this is from him, Wes Delks. And he said, Chris's style in college pretty much epitomizes the Boilermaker mentality, no doubt. And he said, was this work ethic ingrained early on, or was this developed at Purdue?
It's a good question. I like it. It's very good. So like I said, I thought I worked hard before when I was in high school coming up. And then when I got there, I said, oh, hold on a second.
Yep.
This is different. And, it's very humbling. You go from being the man to, you're fighting to even be on the roster. You're talking about redshirting. It's just like,
yep.
Okay, my mentality has to change.
Sure.
I have to sacrifice so I can help Purdue. In return, Purdue will help me when we win and all of those things. And
sure.
So I had, like, I guess the groundwork going into it, but it really got more ingrained once I got there about how to work hard, how to work smart.
Sure.
It's not about how long you work out. You got to go in with a clear plan of, what you got to do, what you got to get done, and get it done and get out. You don't need to go out there and, work out for 6 hours. It's not going to help you in the long run.
Nope.
But, I definitely had some of the groundwork when I was going into Purdue, but once I got there, they polished it up, I guess you can say.
No, that's a great answer. And that I can relate on a smaller scale of just the 1 year Coach Painter let me be a part of Purdue basketball. There's no doubt that's it. That's who he is. That's the culture he's trying to instill into the program and into his players. And really it just translates to the rest of your life. And I hope, audience, you can really see how that has played out in Chris's career. Like just that never give up mentality he's had through his injuries, that never give up mentality through the ups and downs of his career. Chris, I got one more question from one of my boys. He's my cousin. Family got a precedent on this podcast. His name's Casey Delks. Shout out, bro. Who was the toughest offensive beast assignment in the Big Ten? And why were they so tough to guard? Were they physical? Were they quick? Were they smart? Just kind of describe this player for us.
I get this one a lot. I've gotten this one a lot. So I'll give you 3 names.
Okay.
Eric Gordon. Just that year at Indiana, you couldn't touch him. I mean, he was going to the free throw line like James Harden in the NBA.
No doubt.
That
was bold.
He was a freak athletically, and had a flame.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just physically just gifted. So he was tough, especially at IU. You're just trying to stay in front of him without touching him. Secondly, Mike Conley, just shifty, very high basketball IQ, playing with unbelievable pieces around him. Ambidextrous, quick, athletic,
right?
Almost like sneaky athletic, because he's like, I've seen it. I've played with him before, like just a freak athletically, but he's not going to come down and just like hammer on you. Right. But you see it. You get glimpses, and you're just like, Whoa. So that'd be my second one, and the hardest one to guard. When you put size, skill, IQ, everything together, would be Evan Turner. When he gets going downhill, spin move, great mid-range jumper. Ran, I think my senior year, he was running, 6-7 ball screens a possession. And, until we started going under and making him shoot threes,
right,
it was tough.
Yeah.
He's getting us on his back and,
right.
At 6'7", kind of having us at his mercy. But yeah, I think those are the three. That were like the hardest to guard, in my opinion. There was obviously some other guys that were tough. Caleb Lucas was a tough cover from Michigan State. Let me think here. I'm sure there's some other ones, but those are like those three guys, and that really, come to the top of my head.
No doubt. Those are three studs right there. And I'm training Lou Jack right now, and he does nothing but talk about how tough Evan Turner was. So that's you guys both agree that Evan Turner's a tough cover. Chris, I just kind of want to wrap up this podcast with a couple questions. Just the compete mentality is doing what God calls you to do, even when it's hard. That's how we define what it means to compete. So no matter what area of life you're in, we're all called to compete no matter what. Just give us a story of how you've had to fight through adversity in your life.
This is, it's easy, man. It's, what? I think March 5th, 2018, 2019. Wow, one of those. Playing basketball, playing at this point, best basketball in my career. We just won the cup in Lithuania. Balling. I was balling. We're playing in like the top 8, I think, of the Euro Cup in Valencia, Spain. I get a rebound, push in transition, go to jump to score, tear my ACL. And it's one of those things where I knew as soon as it happened, I knew. And the trainers run over, Chris, what happened? What happened? Man, I tore my ACL. No. Like, no, man, like 100% I tore my ACL. So I go into, they take me into the locker room. Their team doctor from Valencia does some of the knee exam, and he's like, I got bad news. And I was like, yeah, I tore my ACL. He's like, yeah, you tore your ACL. So, I had a moment right there in the locker room where, I remember I called my wife and I was in tears, man.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, why? Why right now? Why is this happening? And, I had 3-4 days maybe where I was mentally just done, questioning everything. Like, I put in so much time, everything seems to be going the right way right now. The options that we're going to have after this season are going to be big time, change our life.
Yep.
And, in one move I've done in my career 1,000,000 times, I tear my ACL. And, my wife was like, you have to make a decision. You're either going to sulk and just, let this kind of, define us, or, stand up, dust yourself off. We'll, figure out surgery. We'll, figure all of that, and we'll start this process of of recovery. So after a couple of days, man, we figured some stuff out, and I ended up going home getting surgery, and every day I tried to find something to get a little bit better. If it was one more rep, a little bit better extension, a little bit better flexion, whatever I could do to like keep me motivated. And then it got to the point where I started to be able to do more stuff. I started to be able to get on the court. I couldn't move great, but I could still get on the court. And I was like, okay, let's ramp this up. Like, mentally, I still wasn't there with my knee. Like it was still hindering me. But I was like, we're moving in the right direction. And, it just so happened that after about 6 months, one of my coaches, my first year in Lithuania, was the coach in Russia in Khimki, which was EuroLeague. Offered a job, money we ever made in a career, to go there, play with, Alexis Fed, who was, in the NBA, Jonas Jerebko, Jeremy Evans, a slam dunk champion. Just like an unbelievable team. And, it was a tough year. I mean, I still wasn't right. I still wasn't where I needed to be. But, battling through that adversity was really tough. All of those questions that I had, I'll never know the answer to. But ultimately, it gave me way more time with my family. And, kind of put things into perspective. This game can be taken away from you, with one jump, with one cut, whatever it may be. And, you need to, not that I won't say I lost the love of it, but I was more in like the business side of the game at that point. Like, I'm chasing money. And it's like, no, you have to find your love for the game again, pour it all into it, and the other things will come. And, so it was tough, man. But, right now I'm back to, having that energy, that passion, and just really enjoying playing. Where that last year, when I was in Russia, I kind of lost it. I was trying to find it. But with the situation I was in, it was tough. And then, so this past summer when I was home, I was able to, I actually worked out a lot with Matt Roth of IU. He trains guys in Fort Wayne. And, I found it, I found that love, I found that passion, to go every day and just grind. And, it's translated onto the court this year. And, it's been a lot of fun. So, definitely tearing my ACL was the adversity that was traumatic in, many ways, but, I wasn't going to let that little adversity, define me in a negative light.
Man, so many things I can pull from that, and the testimony you had there, and it's just inspiring to me. Just again, like you talked about earlier, just your never give up attitude, and what you learn from adversity. And listener, adversity can define you, just like Chris talked about. His wife said, "Are we going to let this define us, and or are we going to grow from this?" And so whatever you're going through right now, my encouragement to you is just that you use what you're going through to grow you, instead of define you. I mean, we see that in sports all the time, right? I mean, Drew Brees tearing his labrum, and then the rest is history. I mean, and same with Chris and his career and the injuries he had. and he could have let those injuries define him. And now he's just used that as fuel and motivation to get better. And that's what the compete mentality is. And Chris, I just want to kind of close this podcast talking about what the Lord is doing in your life right now. What are you learning? What's the Lord teaching you right now in this moment in time in your walk with him?
Like, this has been a trying year for everyone, in the midst of COVID and everything that's happened, and you know, like we want to have another child, and the of it's not easy. I wish it was, and I wish everything was on our time. It would save us a lot of heartache, a lot of sadness, each month that, um, we're not pregnant. And, I think it's just to just be still, you know, like I am in control, you know, these burdens that, you're holding on to right now, I have this, when it's the right time, you will know. And in this situation, it's way easier to just say it, but you have to, it's, we talk about it, it's just, the timing isn't right. And, if everything was up to us and our timing, the world would be complete chaos.
Right.
And, I mean, his plan is, so much bigger and so much broader and so much better than, we can even imagine. So we just have to keep faith that, he's in control, and on his time, it's gonna happen. We have to, we do our part, we pray about it, we do all of these things. And but we have to be still and, put our worries onto him, and, ultimately, he's gonna take care of us. And but it's all on his time.
Man, that's so convicting even for me to hear in this point in time in my life. And scripture says to cast all our burdens and anxiety on him because he cares for us. And I hope if you're listening to Chris's story today that you can just really take a lot away from his story and his testimony. And I hope it pushes you to grow. I hope it pushes you to compete. Bottom line, no matter where you are in life, we're all called to compete. And so, Chris, thank you for joining us today. I can't thank you enough. You've inspired me for many years just by watching you as a fan on the television. And I'm even more inspired after 45 minutes with you on a podcast. So thank you so much, bro.
No, man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Compete Training Academy family, I pray blessings upon you, and that you go in your walk right now inspired from Chris to compete, to do what God is calling you to do, even when it's hard.